Boom. Ta-da! Well, we are live here on Wednesday evening, the 19th. And not for nothing, but as we speak, for the first time, I am doing dual lives, one on Facebook Live, which I'm sure you're used to. And I can't believe it. I can see it on my phone. I am on YouTube Live. So we have another avenue. For those who don't do Facebook, we will be available on YouTube. So we'll have to mention that and see if we can increase our little crowd here. That would be cool. All right. What do we got? Hello, Shannon. All right. Who else is jumping on out there? Tell us where you are and what you're doing. Like and share. Add prayer requests in the comments and or praises. What's God doing? Is it good? Things are good. Hey, Phil Becker. Ethan, I just announced we're on Facebook Live. I mean, not Facebook. We've already do that. We're on YouTube Live. Look at it. It's right here. I'm on YouTube Live. So, and that was your idea, young man. So hopefully we'll see what happens. See if I don't get in trouble with those people who handle YouTube in our church. I just kind of stole the password and here we are. I just thought I'd try it. So, hello from the Steels. Hey, Evan. I talked to a guy who looked just like you today. The Browns. How was the birthday party? Lee, you're right. That is the Hall. I couldn't get it all. It must be a big picture because that is the Hall of Justice behind me. Last week, I got in trouble because if you saw my background last week, it was just a telephone booth and a cinder block wall. And Andrea Chase guessed that it was Get Smart, and it was. It was the telephone booth that he would dial a number and shoot down a tube at the beginning of the show. Yeah, Ethan, I'm on the cutting edge, buddy. Found out today, yes, my father does have cancer. Oh, all right, be in prayer for Shannon's dad, okay? You'll be able to reach people who don't have Facebook, which is really cool. We'll have to announce it on Sunday, Ethan, to make sure and give everybody a shot, or you can obviously watch it later. So, the Browns. Mom's doing well at night. The Browns weren't here, and I heard through the grapevine that they were a little upset. They didn't know that they could receive a T-shirt, but they were away and celebrating one mom's 95th birthday. That's crazy, and there's just some good genes in that family. That's incredible. Do. I don't see any comments, so I'm not sure. Hey, Gail. Oh, Gail, long time no see. Good to see you. And Dawn. So we are on Facebook's, not Facebook, YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm not used to that. Generally accepted. You can see, can you see this comment on YouTube? I can't, but I'll figure that out as time goes on. All right, guys. I have a couple of trivia questions for you because tonight we're just going to finish up the first 12 verses. We didn't get to finish last week. So ready? Let's see how quick you are. And again, whoever's first in response on my screen, don't miss that, on my screen, not your screen, my screen, is the winner as far as I'm concerned. And what do you win? My love and admiration. That's it. Ready? Let's see. Number one. What is the safest day of the week to drive to work per Nationwide Insurance? What is the safest day to drive to work according to that insurance company, Nationwide? Actually, General Lee is Evan? No way. All right, you are a tech wizard. I am. Tuesday, Phil Becker. First one, Matt McGrath, welcome. Hey, Matt, thank you for the surprise prayer on Sunday. That was very touching, dude. I was handed a tissue, and your mother almost dropped a baby. That's what I've heard. And it was just great. I appreciate you being part of it, even where you are. That's cool. Tuesday, Sunday. It is Tuesday. It is Tuesday, according to this card I hold in my hand. You don't need that one. I only have a couple of these. Let's see. These I picked these tonight because I knew the answers before I looked. So, which round flat candies did Admiral Byrd take to the South Pole on his 2-year expedition in 1928? Yes, I will repeat that. Which round flat candies did Admiral Byrd take to the South Pole on his 2-year expedition in 1928? We miss you, Matt. We miss you. Come on back. But you're out there defending freedom of some kind, so my hat is off to you, sir. Anybody want to guess what candy this was? Peppermints. No, but that's a good guess. Which round flat candies did Admiral Byrd take to the South Pole on his 2-year expedition in 1928? And Steve is checking us out on YouTube. Attaboy, Steve. Make sure you subscribe. These are one of Sandy's favorite candies. Matter of fact, before I started Bay State, I belonged to a church in East Boston that we had the man who is the vice president of the company that makes these candies. Wafers. I think Lee is thinking, but thinking right. But it's incomplete, so I'm going to let it go for now. But I think she's right. Shannon, are you saying Neckos? It says Nichols. Well, I'm going to tell you what. This is what I'll do, because blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. It is Necco wafers. Atta girl, Lee. She fixed it. And that is correct. Sandy loves those. We used to, again, the vice president of the company that made them used to go to our church, and he likes Sandy, so he would bring her the sleeve of just the chocolate ones. So that was cool. All right. We'll get to Bible in a minute. I got a couple here. I knew this one because I have children and I watch children's TV. Which toy line includes the characters Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, and Twilight Sparkle? Again, I'll read it again. Which toy line included the characters Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, and Twilight Sparkle? What TV show is that? And what line of toys? We have like baskets full of these toys. Matt McGrath, My Little Pony. That well, I didn't see that one coming. Matt McGrath, attaboy. Evans, my Light Pony, attaboy. That's what I was writing, but I couldn't remember it. It's okay, Shannon. I understand. Teletubbies. I'm thinking there's a double meaning there, McGrath. The good Brian. All right. Woo. Oh, Steve Bencourt, you can see comments on YouTube? That's cool. All right. Here is a comic book question. In 1984, when I was just a child, actually I was 17, which DC comic character became the first female superhero to land her own movie? In 1984, which DC comics character became the first female hero to land her own movie? I knew that. It wasn't great, but I went and saw it in 1984. Wonder Woman would be something that would come to mind, but no, sir. Lee, no, I'm sorry. Wonder Woman. Oh, look at everybody went for the only DC Comics female star who's ever been on any kind of video. Think about it. I forget who it was. She's famous too. Well, obviously. She's a blonde. Does that help any? In 1984. Any other guesses? She wore Batwoman. I think we're just grasping at straws, but that's actually a recent TV series, which I didn't watch. But Catwoman, I heard that was a bomb, but 1984, way back then, Shannon, can you remember 1984? The good old days? Evan Steele, with a question mark, says Supergirl. which is correct. It was not a great movie, but she did make her debut on the big screen, Supergirl. All right, here's a good one. 2 sci-fi ones. I found a Star Trek one. I'm very excited. Which science fiction TV show pits humans against Cylons? Which science fiction TV show pits humans against Cylons? Whoop, excuse me. I dropped it. I was 14 years old. Yeah, whatever. Just a child. Grow up. Phil Becker again. Phil, you watch too much TV, buddy. Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica. All right, now ready? Everybody get ready to... Oh, Lee got it. Just took a second to get here because she's right across town. Evan, you're right like in the backyard. How did it get here faster than you? All right, anyway. Anybody else want to put out Battlestar Galactica? I have never seen the new version of Battlestar Galactica. I do remember the original with Lauren Green. Lauren Green, not Lauren. Oh, I forget. He was on Bonanza. He was Ben. He was Paul. All right. Anyway, here we go. I type slow. Have your wife help you. I bet she's good at it. All right. Ready? A Star Trek question. To me, in my world, this is a gimme. If you don't know this, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Last question. Well, I can't spell. Oh, I didn't even notice. You notice that? I just read it and kind of finished it in my head. All right. In Star, the Scotsman Montgomery Scotty Scott holds which position on the Starship Enterprise? What is Scotty's position on the Enterprise? What does he do? Come on, that was a slow pitch. Scotty, the Scotsman on Star Trek. What does he do? Matt McGrath from across the world, engineer. Michelle guessed it. Steve, chief engineer. That is more specific. He's in charge of engineering as we know it. And he can take like bubble gum and duct tape and a couple of pieces of PVC piping and make the warp engines go. He's amazing. All right. Very good, guys. All right. Let me bring up my Bible. We got 15 minutes. And again, I only got a couple of verses for you tonight in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 in verses 1 to 12, because we didn't finish it last week. And I didn't want to keep you really beyond what I promised, because I respect your time, and it's bad enough that I abuse it on Sunday. Let's see. Oh, look at, I've caused division in a family. No, Michelle Becker heard me yell it across the room. Oh, well, we don't want to give your wife any credit. Wait a minute. I only guess because Phil was trying to speak it into the text. I can picture that, actually. I'm giving it all. She's got Captain. Oh, I think we should have a Star Trek trivia night. You know what? I think I have Star Trek trivia questions at home. Just Star Trek. All right. Anyway, last week we talked in 2 Thessalonians. Let me bring up my Bible so I can do this. We did verses 1 to 12. And let me just refresh your memory a little bit, if you were with us. Paul is writing to this church in Thessalonica. This is his second letter to them. And somewhere, and we don't really know the details of it, but remember the first Thessalonians, they were concerned because they knew about the rapture. Paul had taught them about it, but they thought, well, wait a minute, people have died since then, and Jesus is going to come back. What happens to the people who've died? And Paul explained that. We studied it a little bit. And then he talked about the day of the Lord, which was the judgment, the tribulation to come. And so then somewhere he ends his letter. We looked at the whole first letter to the Thessalonians. And somewhere in between there, someone pretending to be Paul writes them a letter. Now, again, think about the commitment this takes to mess with Paul. I'm not against anybody enough that I'm going to commit this kind of time or energy. But someone faked Paul's name and wrote them a letter saying not remember, this is the church that was worried and scared that they had missed the rapture, or their loved ones did. Well, this fake Paul writes them a letter and says, guys, the rapture happened already, and you're in the tribulation. And now this church that's in persecution, the likes of which we don't understand in America, and they kind of do the math. It's like, well, all this stuff is happening and it's bad. And somebody told us we're in the tribulation, and it signed Paul. So now we're even more concerned. And so they're scared and they're concerned, and yet their faith is growing. And it has been, I think, proven that since the church has been in existence, whenever it's persecuted, they rise in their faith, their strength increases. One of the most dangerous things in your Christian walk will be idleness, when you're free to do whatever you want and not have to concentrate and think about what you believe and then living it out. And so I want you to know this. It's my firm belief, and I'm going to say this. I think after everything that we've gone through, Pastor Russ, my good friend, Pastor Russ, it's good to see you on here. Thank you for stopping by. And so I think since everything that we've been through, and I don't think I heard it just yesterday, I went to a pastor's conference and one guy said this and I liked it. He said, listen, normal isn't coming back, but Jesus is. And so we need to minister in this time period right now, because everything is going just like God has planned it to go. So we need to learn to minister and to grow in our faith in this time. We can't spend all our time reminiscing of how it used to be. We need to live and thrive now. And so he encourages them. He writes to encourage them in the first one. I'll just hit the highlights from last week. He encourages them in verse 3. He says, listen, your faith is amazing. It's famous. I go around Macedonia, that region, and I want to talk to, I have in my notes, I'm going to mention Thessalonica right here. And everybody says, yeah, we know all about them. Their faith is it's just infamous. It's just amazing. It's just rapid fire. So he tells them about that. And he used the words, actually, and I quote, we can't help but thank God for you. Yeah, we're just compelled. You guys are just awesome. When we think of everything and all our efforts that we've put forward, and then we look at you guys and we're just so happy that we did it. There was no regrets. You may have even surpassed some of our faith. And then he encourages them in the second part of verse 3, encourages them because of their love is also as famous. They're not only famous for knowing things. See, in John chapter 1, Jesus was truth and grace, the fullness of truth and grace. You cannot specialize in one. I've seen churches that are steeped in truth, and we need truth, and we need to know the truth. But if that's all you have, that will lead to legalism. But I've also seen churches that are big into love, and we need love. But if love is all you have, that leans towards liberalism. And so you have to be the fullness of both. Not easy. As a matter of fact, Jesus probably set the example for us. And the fact is, it may take deity to be the fullness of both of those things, but we need both. We need the truth that is wrapped in love and salt and grace, if you remember your scripture right. Okay? Hey, Russ, I'm on YouTube now. Just saying. You can get on the bandwagon while I'm still not as famous. I just want you to know. Someday you can tell everybody I knew him when. All right. And Paul also writes it to encourage them about their patience in verses 4-5, that they've been through persecution and hardships in the NLT, using two different words. Persecution is the things that people were doing to them. Hardships was just stuff, taking that suffering just a step further. And so he was impressed with that. And when testing comes, faith either shrinks or shines. And theirs were shining, but they're still concerned. So Paul's going to write to them. Remember, the first letter he wrote to them was to teach them something. This second one is to correct error that was given to them and that they believed. And so then he encourages them from certain perspectives, the promise of judgment in verse 6. He said, God is everything you're going through, I want you to know, is not going unnoticed. God will take care of it. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And one of the first things you give up when you start to follow Christ is your right to self-defense. He says, don't do it. Don't do it. I'll handle that. So do we trust God enough that we'll let him handle the injustices and the persecution and the trials that other people inflict on us? And the answer should be yes. But is it yes? That's up to you in your heart. Then he talks about the perspective of the people who are going to be judged in the judgment. Well, he says those who reject and those who rebel, two different sets of people. That's verses 7 and 8. And then he talks about the pain of judgment, that we'll all live somewhere forever. He says, okay, you guys got this covered. And then that's what he ends it with in verses 7 and 10, where he says the positive side of judgment. Believers have indicated everything that you've said, everything you've lived through, everything that you have endured. It is going to be worth it. It will be worth it all when we see Jesus. Great old hymn. I go in the auditorium every now and again and belt that one out. I love that song. Also belt it up because it's very high. Verse 10, and believers of it, we win. So he said, hang in there. You're doing great. Your faith is strong. Your love is well known. And when it's all said and done, you win. You get it. It'll be worth every minute of it. And then he encourages them in the prayer. And that's where we're going to pick up, okay? And let me see if I brought it up. Yeah, verse 11 and 12, just 2 verses. He's going to pray for them. He's going to tell them, and I'm going to pray for you. And he said, this is what I'm praying for you. Now, ask yourself, are you praying this for someone, and are you hoping someone's praying it for you? He says, so we keep on praying for you. You're going through all this stuff. We're going to keep on praying for you. I mean, I've encouraged you. I hope I've encouraged you. You guys are awesome. You're doing great. You're just so strong. I can't help but thank God for you. Remember verse 3. And he says, we keep on praying for you, asking our God to enable you to live a life worthy of his call. So he tries to encourage them even in how he prays for them. He says, listen, I'm going to pray that you might walk worthy. And again, we're talking about sanctification in these verses. This is that part where you're conformed to the image of Jesus Christ. You're growing in your faith. He says, you guys are doing great. I'm going to pass this along. I think this is true. As your faith grows, it's going to go through trials and troubles. And it's in the heat that you grow. It's the trials, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. And no one really does that, but the understanding is you're going to come out as gold. You're going to grow stronger, but it is a choice. You can grow better or you can grow bitter, and that's your choice. And some people, they go through certain trials and they just sit in it and they never grow out of it, and they never figure out why and how we can grow past it. And so you can grow better through it. And there is suffering that's according to the will of God. That's Bible, because there's a verse that says when you are suffering not according to the will of God. So there must be suffering that's according to the will of God, and it's for a purpose, and it's to bring you forward and make you more and conform to the image of his son. And so it's my opinion, in my experience, once you've gone through some trials and you think, oh, all right, I see it as clear as day. I know the Bible verses. I get it. So I'm stronger now. I think the next trial you'll go through will be bigger and harder. I don't think he's going to start you in the hardest one and knock you out of the game. He is going to grow your faith. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I said it in the class Pastor Russ and I are teaching at Granite. I said, listen, I'm hard to offend. I really am. I've grown in my faith that you'd be hard-pressed to offend me. You really would. And I've said that out loud, and it's as if, I don't know, God approved it or Satan just kind of giggled. I don't know. And I hear in my head now echoing, oh, yeah? And sure enough, I've been offended from places I never saw coming. And now I have to sort through that to see how can we get there. Not a challenge accepted moment. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a challenge to try to offend me, by the way. That's what I think Pastor Russ is getting at. So we keep on praying for you. Actually, I'm going to say this publicly. Pastor Russ is a good friend of mine. He has seen me through some very, I think, dark times for myself. So I appreciate that, brother. I do. And I am in your debt. All right? So that's verse 11. That's just the first part. He prays for that they would walk worthy. That's the part. That's the section we're in. We've accepted Jesus. Now we walk worthy. And more worthy and more worthy. And so you guys are doing great. You're famous for doing great. And I'm going to pray that not only you continue in it, but you walk worthy, that I can just look back and be proud and happy for where your faith has brought you. And then he says, may he give you, here it is, may he give you power to accomplish all good things your faith prompts you to do. He said, I know it's hard. But you might have heard this. I read it on a t-shirt on Sunday. When you don't know what to do, you do what you know to do. And how often we don't actually understand that. That's a great lesson. Write that down, wear the t-shirt, do whatever you have to do. But understand this, I've seen it too many times when we don't know what to do. I'm in a new place now. It's like, I don't know what to do. I thought things would be different. I'm older now and I thought we'd be here. And I have to sit back as a pastor, take my own advice. I don't know what to do, but until I do know what to do, I'm going to do what I know to do. And I'm going to pray. I'm going to read. I'm going to go to church. I am going to keep some friends really close that lift me up. Do what you know to do until God tells you that little area that you don't know what to do in. Does that make sense? Throw an amen or something in the comments so I know you heard me. So he prays that they might walk worthy. He prays right here that they might be fruitful. He says, I'm praying that good things happen because of your faith, because your faith is prompting you to do things. Don't be discouraged. Don't just endure. Just endure. It's one of those things the Bible talks about. Blessed is he who endures till the end. Thank you, Shannon. She heard me. And so Paul prays to encourage them. I'm praying that you walk worthy. And guys, as your pastor, I'm praying constantly that Bay State walks worthy, because our world needs us to walk worthy. It's not a right. It's not a benefit. It is a responsibility. We need to walk worthy. And just when you think, hey, Sant, you think we are walking worthy? Again, watch this. We could probably do better. Okay. And that's why I think the trials grow and get bigger. All right. And so he prays that they might be fruitful, a reference to what is produced in a believer's life during trials. And again, it is there for a reason. Find out and don't spend a whole lot of time figuring out what it is. Just kind of go to God and say, hey, and sometimes a trial is simply so you go back to God's and kneel. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever been blindsided? It's like, what is going on? It's because you got too far away from the throne. Again, I've mentioned you can get better or you can get bitter, and I have 2 minutes left. He encourages them in verse 12. Join me there. Right there. Then the name of the Lord, if you walk worthy, if you're fruitful, then the name of the Lord will be honored because of the way you live. Guys, I'm not only proud of you, Jesus is proud of you. Russ, who is this quote from? God is not mad at you. He is mad about you. All right. So he's honored because of the way you live, and you'll be honored along with him. You know, I've heard that in churches. Well, that's why we don't applaud when someone sings, because it'll take glory away from God. Tell you what, if you did such a poor job that there's not a little left over to spill over to the person actually putting their hand to something, Anthony Myers, that's correct, sir. You win the trivia for tonight. So Paul prayed that they walk worthy. Paul prayed that they be fruitful. And these are some things that we're already doing. Every now and again, find that person and encourage them. Talking to that with a friend of mine right in the office today. I think that's one of the things we need to learn and grow in is just encouraging each other. Drop a note, send a text. Try this one. Hey, well, and be honest. Or casting crowns. No, don't do the casting crowns quote. I think you got it wrong if I remember right. But do this tomorrow. Pick out a person you know from church or Pastor Russ and his church or wherever. Just find a fellow Christian, pray for them by name, and then take your phone and text that person and just simply put, just prayed for you. And that's it. And see how that changes a person's day. I double dog dare you, because I get them from different people. And I'll tell you what, I think I mentioned on Sunday, I got a phone call from a pastor friend of mine, and we were just talking shop, but we're talking shop like friends. I said things, he said things that we know. You know what I mean? We didn't have to, we were just honest, but not angry and mean, but just kind of observing some things. And I checked my phone. You know how you can check how long your call was? 1 hour and 40 minutes. And I had a blast because he's a friend of mine in the ministry. We have this in common. We've gone through similar things. It's just nice to have that kind of fellowship, okay? And so he prays, listen, if you do these things, you walk worthy, you walk fruitful. And then verse 12 just really says, and I'm praying that you just remain faithful. Just stay. Just stay. I was doing in the class that Pastor Russ and I are co-teaching. Is I was in charge of the pastoral epistles, which is 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus, and I'm on 1st Timothy chapter 1, and it says, just stay, and then the next verse says, or the next phrase actually says, and to stay, you need to stop doing a few things, and they're listed there. He says, so let me finish this before I go into 1st Timothy, okay? And this is all made possible because of the grace of our God and the Lord Jesus Christ. My hat is off to Paul for the way he handles the situation. He encourages people. I love to encourage people. But this church is scared. They think they've missed out on something huge. They think they're going through the tribulation. And maybe they believe, like me, that I won't be here for the tribulation. So I'm bumming. I screwed this up somewhere. And he said, listen, you're going through what you're going through, and it's all possible because of the grace of God. You mean the trials and the tribulation? Yeah, that's the truth of the matter. He is bringing you along because you're doing great things, and to do greater things, I need to increase your faith. So he gives credit to the grace of God in the Lord Jesus Christ. All right, we did it. It's 8:02. That's not that bad for me. And I'm doing new technology. So we'll announce that on Sunday. I see a good number up here on my board. I think that's awesome. And of course, I'm just over. Steve, I'm sorry. I've been talking so fast. I'm not sure what this means. Straw. What did I say? Oh, but I got an amen from Evan, I believe. General Lee. I thought it was Lee when I saw it first. So I actually get the comments from YouTube too. This is very exciting. This is from YouTube. Steve, chief engineer. Who else is watching me on YouTube? Let's see. Is there another one? Oh, that's Steve, who's telling me I see the comments. There's Evan. That's how I know it's Evan. Excellent. So let's thank Ethan for telling me I should do that. I've done it. I didn't realize it was so easy. It came up at my team meeting last night, and Tim sent me the login information for our YouTube. And again, I hope Matt doesn't scold me because of what I've done, but I'm doing it. Let's see. Oh, Sienna, thank you for doing this for us every Wednesday. Oh, my pleasure. I really hope, I know it's hard to discipline yourself to read your Bible every day, and I'm just hoping a familiar face, I was going to say friendly, familiar face, that just kind of brings you through together. And you could watch this, because I don't know about you, but sometimes just reading can get dry in my head. So I'll listen to somebody, or I'll read someone else's comments about. It helps me, and I hope this helps you. I really do. Sandy says, "Hey," so I said, "Straw." Oh, no wonder I didn't get it. Let's see. When you highlight a comment, it shows whether it was from Facebook or YouTube. So cool. Really? Well, that's fascinating. You are welcome, Lee. And for that, I say it's 8:04. Love you guys. I just want to say I appreciate being appreciated. We talked about that. What a great day Sunday was. I feel great. I feel loved. I appreciate you guys. It was funny. And if you've seen my Facebook posts of all the pictures of all the quotes and such, I think we're going to see a lot more of that from other churches I know, because I actually had my Facebook with all that stuff in it shared by someone I went to Bible college, and she shared it with someone I don't even know. So they're passing around ideas of how to appreciate their pastor. So you guys might, again, you're not the exception, you're the example. And with that being said, love you guys. Appreciate being your pastor. It's been a good night. I'll talk to you Sunday, I hope. Have a good Sunday, everybody. Love you.